Good afternoon. It's Tuesday and time for In the Know with David O. I'm Councilman David O. It is my pleasure to join you here today every Tuesday 2 to 3 to bring you some interesting perspectives, some expertise from decision makers and people in our community that are doing positive things. This week we're going to hear from Gabriela Watson Alrazo. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but she is an independent filmmaker, producer, and educator. She just completed one of her documentary films, and so whether she's teaching at Temple University or making a film or talking to folks and doing things on an international level, Gabriela will be telling us about all those things, and I hope you will find a lot that you can gain from that. Then we're going to hear from House of Hamil, two musicians. They met 10 years ago, and lo and behold, they both have bands, by the way, but they started their own band, the two of them. And so they have House of Hamil, which is kind of like Celtic rock, Celtic folk rock, kind of, maybe some other things too, we'll find out. But we're going to hear from them, Brian and Rose. They were finalists in the PHL Live Center Stage 2016 Country Folk genre, and after you are done listening to them, well, you will learn how to play the guitar. I mean, well, if you want to, from the convenience of your home or your office, you could do it online for free or for really a minimum level of contribution, like $1 a month, you know, and it could go a little higher. But, you know, the whole secret is in knowing how to learn and having someone teach you in a way that, leads you to success early. And that is Robert Swift, Swift Guitar Lessons. Well, let me start by thanking our show sponsor, Weinerman Pain and Wellness, the wonderful work they do in bringing people back to a full, healthy life, or a life that is certainly rewarding. Sometimes it's very challenging when people get hurt. They need to resume as much of a life as they can, hopefully a full life, but for both mental and physical reasons, rehabilitation is so important. I thank all our advertisers, and we have a new advertiser, and you'll hear their commercial. It's all about cheesesteaks, right? So Philly is really the home of some great cheesesteaks. And so, don't turn away when the commercials come on. Check out our sponsors, listen to what they have to say. By the way, August 17th, that's coming up. August 17th is First Responder Appreciation Day here in Philadelphia. And so, take a little note. If you see a police officer, a firefighter, paramedic, someone in emergency medicine, just say thank you. Thank you for the work you do in helping us all. And we've asked community groups to sponsor something, and my office is organizing a few things and kind of keep track of what's happening, and we'll give you more information about that. But yeah, let's thank our first responders, the tough job that they do and do so well. So let me tell you about my first guest. She was born in Peru. She grew up in Brazil, and now she makes Philadelphia her home. Her name is Gabriela Watson Alrazo, and you can find her at Temple University, the School of Film Art Media, and she got her Master of Fine Arts there. And she is working on projects, and one of them is going to debut at the Black Star Film Festival this coming week, right?
Correct.
Yes.
This Sunday.
This Sunday, and it's at the International House, which is on Chestnut Street, right?
Yes.
Do you know the address?
It's 34 in Chestnut.
34 in Chestnut is good enough. I know where that is, but yeah, you could look it up. We'll get you the exact address. Gabriela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got interested in film? Because you're not a newcomer. You were doing stuff in Brazil, and you came over to Philadelphia. But what attracted you to television and film?
Absolutely. So I think that's a very interesting story. I got attracted after I saw the film Spike Lee film Malcolm X.
Okay.
And I thought it was so powerful and it speaks so much to me about the untold story of black people. You know, very different from what I saw in the school books and that kind of stuff. And I felt like that was something that I wanted to pursue. You know, get to know more about who I am.
Yes.
And just make people feel connected.
Yes.
You know, and feel empowered by.
Now, were you much of a reader? Did you like to read?
I like it.
Yeah, I don't really like it myself. So I love film, you know, because anytime I can watch a film rather than read a book. Like, I love books. I love to read. I just don't seem to have time for it. But a beautifully presented or powerfully presented film is really kind of convenient for me. I really like it. I do read, but film works a lot better for me.
Yeah, I understand. A lot of people feel the same way. And that's why one of the good positive things of multimedia, they really engage people in a whole different level.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough enough to write. That's a whole art in of itself. And, I'm only kidding. I love to read. I don't have much time for it. But, the presentation of a story through film, it's so technical, lighting, the technology, the artistry, the actors, the scripts are very complicated.
Yes.
So how do you focus on that in what you're doing? Because you're doing documentary films right now, and I suppose you may stick with that or do other things, but what are the key elements that you're really trying to focus on in presenting the stories you're presenting?
Okay, well, I definitely have a passion for writing and directing, so that's my ultimate goal.
Yes.
And I have some stories, fiction stories that I'm working on a script. Like you said, it's a long-term process. You really need to make sure you got it right.
Right.
So I'm working on my script and working on directing actors and lighting.
Is it easy to direct actors?
It's not easy.
It's not easy, she says with a smile. Are you thinking about things in particular? What's tough about directing people?
It's about the thing with film is that as a director you need to direct not only the actors but all the technical aspects, like you said.
Yes.
And all people's different humors and different styles. So it's a very intense exercise of dealing with different people. So but it requires training. The much that you do,
yes,
the better you become.
Well, I know that in my time in the military, we went through a lot of training just for a young officer to be able to tell other soldiers what to do and make sure it's done correctly. They invest heavily, in kind of like management training in the military, and it doesn't seem like there's that much training for example, employers. You start a business and you learn kind of, a little bit here and there by trial and error, if it works or not. But there are schools that will teach you about the film and media arts, and you are really part of that in that you're teaching at Temple University.
Yes, correct. I'm a young scholar. The MFA program, the difference between MFA and other filmmaking programs is that you have a training, like you said, in teaching undergrad at the same time that you perfect your craft, you perfect your filmmaking skills. We also had the opportunity in this program at Temple to teach undergrad as teaching assistants and lately as adjuncting, so being responsible for teaching the course in itself, which was a great experience for me.
How important would you say is it for aspiring filmmakers and others to go to school?
For me personally, because I knew I wanted to become an instructor, that was a key element to decide to go to MFA program.
Yes.
But for many filmmakers, as long as they practice, they become very successful. So it depends on the approach that you want to pursue.
Right. Now tell us about your kind of focus as a filmmaker, because right now you've kind of focused on the African diaspora and from a woman's perspective. How did you kind of come to that?
Sure. Well, like you were telling the audience, I have this multicultural background.
Yes.
My family is from Peru. Born and raised in Brazil. Had this passion with Black American films and
Yes.
felt identified with them. And the mass culture also makes you so connected with the American culture.
Yes.
So in many ways, I feel a lot of similarities.
What do you want to convey in your movie? For example, your first film, We African or Afro-Peruvians, Nosotros Afro-Peruanos, that's the best I can do. That was 2012, and now you have another film, which is, what is the name here? Baobab Flowers. But they're really both kind of focused on the African experience, whether in Peru, Brazil, or here in the United States, and you're linking the kind of common experience.
Correct. Exactly. So, as a independent filmmaker, I'm trying to build a body of work
Yes.
that helps to promote a lot of cross-cultural conversations.
Yes.
I believe that that's where my strength is.
Yes.
My background experience and having the opportunity to travel. So I really want to encourage people to think in those kind of terms.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I enjoy a lot of different films from a lot of different countries. I learned about the culture, and I learned about me through the experiences of people I am not, whether it be race, gender, or occupation. I'm not in a mob, but I like the mob movies. I learned something about me watching, the characters struggle through these impossible scenarios. In your latest film, which is going to debut this Sunday, you brought together two teachers, one from Brazil, one from America. And what were you trying to say? What were you documenting in that film, Baobab Flowers?
Right. So in Baobab Flowers, we are following two teachers from underserved communities. One from my hometown, São Paulo, Priscilla, and other Nianza Bandelli from West Philadelphia. And the idea is to reflect on the inequality to access education for minorities.
Yes.
For minorities here, but one thing that I like to remember is in Brazil, Black people are not minority. We are a majority.
Yes.
But still we have the same issues.
In other words, when you say accessing quality education, there is school, yet it is not high quality education, or it is not equal to the level of education that is offered within the same region. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, so many levels, different levels. It's just the fact of accessing schools with resources.
Yes.
And the fact that even when you are in a school, it doesn't speak to your identity,
Mm-hmm.
or the teacher are trying to do something different, and they have a lot of barriers.
Yes, yes. When I think about Philadelphia, for example, I think about exactly that issue, that you could have one school with art, music, orchestra, swimming pool, iPads, 3D printers, and then just several minutes away is another public school, another neighborhood school that is so poorly resourced. No orchestra, no art, barely drinkable water. Oftentimes not even, toilet paper on a consistent level. Yet they're both in the same system. Is that what you are reflecting on in this documentary?
Yes, that's definitely one of the aspects that's brought out with the experience, because the students, they feel the same exact way. When we're talking to them, they are conscious that 10 minutes away from the schools that they live,
Yes.
there's a school with a whole different kind of resources.
Now, one of the things you talk about in this film, or you present, is it's not just in Philadelphia or in Sao Paulo. It's a global problem. And are you particularly looking at it as a global problem, more so for Black people than for it's really the commonality is that many of the poor communities are people of African descent, and they have less opportunity to access good quality education.
Exactly. It's from an African descent experience, because if you take the statistics
Mhm.
from whole Latin America,
Yes.
you're gonna find African descent in all those countries, and usually they live in the worst socio-economical neighborhoods.
Yeah, so we may have, as I often say, you may have Mozart, but Mozart doesn't have a piano, so we never know what that child could be. And, you know, if on a global basis, so many potentially bright, capable people are not able to develop their full potential, and many of them are of African descent, what does that mean for people of African descent on a global basis?
Exactly. It's reflection of the history. It's
Mhm.
reflection of the present too.
Yes.
Because there are actions that can be made today that are not based. They're not made, and they're made. They're not made based on decisions. So what are the priorities of the governments?
Right.
Why is those resources not being available at the same level than others? Those are questions that we all need to ask ourselves.
I also, you know, very much like, am very curious about the fact that you present it from a woman's perspective. What are you presenting, you know, through a woman's perspective that is different from the traditional presentation, you know, by men?
Correct. So I believe those women, they show that as being the educators, they have so many roles, and sometimes they are how do you say? They have too much to do.
Yeah, they have a lot of different roles. Do you mean as they're dealing, you know, as a teacher, as a professional, but
As
also,
mothers, as
Yes.
community activists,
right?
and their own what they want to do is on the bottom of the list. They don't even as you know, people, they have so little time for themselves.
Right, right. Well, if people want to learn more about you and your films, do you have a website we can tell our listeners to visit right now?
Definitely. So the film it has a website,
Mhm.
www.baobabflowersfilm.com.
Yes. Baoba, by the way, is spelled B-A-O-B-O-B, and the word flowers, Baoba Flowers.
Exactly. So baobabflowersfilm.com website. This is the website film, and I'm on Facebook all the time. On Twitter, Gabriela, 1L, Watson, Aurazo, A-U-R-A-Z-O.
All right, Gabriela Watson Arouzo, A-U-R-A-Z-O. Now, what does the future hold for you? You know, Sunday comes, you're debuting your film. What happens next?
Ooh la la, hard to tell. Hopefully a lot more productions. I have a short film in mind that I'm finishing script and want to shoot this year.
Yes.
I'm also looking for news in teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, I definitely want to teach here in Philadelphia. So just pursuing, you know, more films and more teaching.
More films and more teaching. Now, the film that you are debuting, which you filmed in Brazil as well as in the United States, how did you fund that?
Yes. So it's very tricky to fund independent film, as
Yes.
everybody knows. And so I did. It came from different places, the
Mhm.
funding. So I had a grant from Temple University. It's called Completion Grant. So it had that help. And then we did 2 Kickstarter campaigns, 2 crowdfunding campaigns. One here in U.S. and other in Brazil. And also we had funding from an executive producer. She is a civil rights. She was a civil rights activist, and she's a professor. She's a former professor at Georgia State University, Dr. Derby.
Mm-hmm.
She also came on board as an executive producer. So it's just beautiful to see also how, you know, generations help each other. You know, women's helping each other, and I feel blessed to have, you know, the blessing of such a, you know, figure. And so those are, and I have to say my personal resources.
Yes.
So
yes.
those are the 4 main things.
Right. The sources that you drew on in order to complete your independent film.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly that is another challenge. You know, people want to do something, but they don't have the resources or the tools. And so you know, it's encouraging that you've been able to raise a little money here, a little money there, here in the U.S., overseas in Brazil, and complete your project. And I understand you're working on yet another project, which is Afro Trip.
Correct. Afro Trip, it's a web series that features upcoming artists, mainly in Brazil. So we shot this in 3 different cities, Salvador, Rio de Janeiro, and Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting ready to start disclosing all the videos online. So it's
Yes.
primarily a web series. So everything is going to be online, accessible to everyone, with the same idea to let people know what's going on right now in Brazil.
Mm. And so now this focus is pretty much on the arts.
Yes.
Okay. And why did you choose that as a way to reach and communicate to people?
Well, first, those artists sometimes they don't have space,
Yes.
as you know, in mainstream communication. So, and second, people from other countries, they don't know. They don't have the access to get to know those artists.
Right. So you're providing a platform where people can get to listen to or see talented folks from Brazil.
Exactly.
Not otherwise have that opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful as well. For listeners who might be thinking about a career in film and television, or they might want to get involved in making their own films, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Start making film right now.
Okay, that sounds like good advice. How do they do that right now?
Well, right now there is, you know the DSLR cameras, digital cameras,
Mhm.
or even with the cell phone. You know
Yes.
that even we have feature films, narrative films shot with an iPhone.
Yes, I've heard about that.
So there are no limits, and really, you know, developing a cinematic aesthetic, it's much more of a concept than on having all the paraphernalia on, you know, the access. Of course, everyone wants to have that,
Right.
but you can start with just creativity and some tools. The much that you train, the better you're gonna become, and then you're gonna know, okay, which path I wanna go.
Sounds like sound advice to me. Start early, make your mistakes right away, you know, make your adjustments, find out who you are, you know, keep at it.
Exactly.
Now, you're going to be at International Health this Sunday?
I will be there.
Yes. What time? What time does that kick off?
It starts at 11
in the afternoon?
11 a.m.
11 a.m., okay.
And there are gonna be, the film it's included in the short program 8. So we have 3 other films being shown after Baba, and then
Yes.
there is a Q&A that is gonna follow.
Okay.
So I'll be there
You'll be there for the Q&A.
Exactly.
And about what time does your film show?
at 11.
At 11? And what time do you get up to do the Q&A?
Probably around 12:30.
Around 12:30. Okay, so watch the film, do a Q&A. So everybody, if you would like to get a chance to meet the director and our guest today, talk to her, and watch her film, and maybe get involved in supporting some of her projects or pursuing your own career, note it down. You know, this Sunday, International House, 34th and Chestnut. They have a movie screening area there, and you can keep an eye out for Bulb of Flowers and director Gabriela Watson Arazo.
Yes, I'm gonna check the address so
Mhm.
we can make sure it's people will arrive there.
Okay, well listen, 34th and Chestnut is good enough. They'll figure it out. Make sure you get to the right place. So listen, thank you so much for being on our show. And listen, to our listeners, stay tuned because we will be right back with House of Hamil. All right, and that is from the song Daydream. We are here with Rose Baldino and Brian Buchanan, House of Hamil. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello.
All right. Well, listen, Brian's there with his guitar. Rose has her violin or fiddle, depending on what you're doing, because you're both violinists and fiddlers, both classically trained, and both have a love of the fiddle.
It's true. Yeah, we both started violin lessons and I think piano lessons, both of us, when we were pretty young. And after a bunch of years of that, right around the time we both reached adolescence, we started getting bored of classical music and started looking elsewhere, and both fell in love with Irish and traditional music, independently
Interesting.
of one another.
So that's kind of like violin rebellion, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
there
know,
is such a thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you don't hold it properly, you make strange sounds.
That's
with
totally
it.
correct, yeah.
Yes, you dance around. Okay. Well, listen, I mean, it's interesting because both of you are in other bands. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. I have a traditional Celtic band right here in like, the Philadelphia area. We're more based in Lehigh Valley, but it's called Burning Bridget Cleary. And yeah, we've done traditional Irish music for the last 12 years. And yeah, Brian has his own band up in Canada.
I moved to Philadelphia about 3 years ago from Toronto.
Yes.
And my band is based out of Toronto still. We play actually probably more often in Philadelphia than we do in Toronto. And my band's called Enter the Haggis. It's Celtic rock.
Okay, for those who don't know, what is haggis?
Haggis is an alleged delicacy in Scottish culture, which is made from the stomach of a sheep with the innards of a sheep mashed up with oatmeal inside and spices and boiled and then served to you.
It's lovely.
And yeah.
Gabriela, did you know that? Did you have haggis before?
Never.
Never.
Neither is
You're not
Rose.
missing much.
I have no idea. Rose is born a vegetarian and never tried
okay.
haggis.
Oh my goodness.
For all she knows, it's delicious.
So where did that name come from? Enter the haggis.
Probably Scotch.
Oh my goodness.
I wasn't around for the naming of the band, and I've been rebelling against it ever since.
And for Rose, where did Burning Bridget Cleary come from?
We actually found this really interesting story online, my band, back in 2006. We found this story about this woman named Bridget Cleary, who was living in a place called Tipperary in Ireland in like
okay.
the 1800s, and she was considered to be the last witch to be burned in Ireland.
Oh my goodness!
Or
All right.
she wasn't a witch.
Right.
So she was this really like strong female character from Ireland's history,
Okay.
and the band was and still is fronted by two female fiddlers. So we thought it was kind of fitting to have a strong female character leading the way for us.
Right. So haggis meets Bridget Cleary, and we have House of Hamil.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from?
House of Hamil is the name of the first fiddle tune that Rose taught me when I moved down to Philadelphia, and it was written by a Philadelphian who was an expat Irishman named Ed Reevy, who moved over to Philadelphia and spent the rest of his life writing a lot of really well-known traditional Irish fiddle
Okay.
tunes.
So you guys met 10 years ago, and you kept bumping into each other, and then one day. Burning Bridget Cleary was missing two of its members, and so Rose took the stage with you, and House of Hamil basically got it started.
Pretty much born on the spot, actually with another Philadelphian, Cheryl Prasker of the band
Oh,
Runa,
okay,
who also kind of jumped on stage. We pretty much just made it up for an hour at a music conference in Kansas City
Yeah.
and never looked back.
And so, since you already have your own bands, how did you come up with House of Hamil? Why would you venture into yet another musical endeavor?
I think what Brian and I are doing together is quite different from what either of our bands are doing. Like my band is very strictly like traditional music, and it's our own twist on it. And Brian's band is very more like rock and with some roots influences. And what we're doing is almost like we're still trying to figure out what our sound is, because there's like electronic influences, there's folk influences, Irish influences,
Musical theater influences.
Radiohead influences. It's just
Yes.
really weird and like twisted and kind of dark. So yeah, we're trying to find, I guess, another outlet, even from our own outlets.
And I think neither of us had really played with or started a new official musical project in probably close to a decade.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting to just try something from a new direction and with new personnel.
And you have a concert coming up. I mean, not real soon, but when are you guys performing?
Yeah, well, we have a couple dates in Florida next month, but the next time we're playing around here is we're playing Steel City Coffee House on October 21st in Phoenixville.
Oh,
so
okay.
that'll be a lot of fun. We're excited for that.
That's as close as we're getting to downtown Philadelphia
For
in the
now.
next couple of months.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, October the 24th?
First.
21st.
Yeah.
21st.
Okay. And so we're going to offer our listeners, we're going to come up with some kind of a contest, a way to do this, but we are offering, thanks to House of Hamil, 2 autographed CDs, and we'll figure out how you're going to win these. I think we'll say that we'll do a drawing from our subscribers. So please make sure that if you're listening and you're not a subscriber, go to youtube.com, In the Know with David O, and subscribe. We will do the drawing and we will announce the winner next week on the air. In terms of your debut album, Wide Awake, how did that come about and what's happening right now?
Well, not unlike Gabriela, we actually ran a Kickstarter as well, and between the two of us, I think we've done about 6 or 7 Kickstarters now to fund various projects and various albums. And yeah, that was our debut, and we made a bunch of videos to promote the Kickstarter last year, and recorded a good chunk of it in our apartment up in Chestnut Hill, just in our living room.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about living here in the future is we could do things like have a drummer in Toronto record parts for us, have a bass player in New Jersey record parts for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So we put out that first album back in September of 2016, and we're already hard at work on a follow-up, which we have no idea of a release date for, but we're heading in that direction.
Well, let me tell our listeners that you're in for a treat because House of Hamil is about to perform live.
Yes, we are.
They are going to perform one of their songs, Pound a Week Rise. I don't know what it means, but Pound a Week Rise.
It's a song, actually it's a traditional song that was written back in the early 1900s, and it covers the story and the angst of a group of coal miners who were ripped off by the coal board.
Right.
And promised more money than they were paid.
Okay, so here we go.
Back up a little bit. One.
Loans for gold dust in the booze of hell. The old road rose
the sky and you're working in a dungeon, all around the way to rise. And it's down low, Jack, where you've never seen the sky and you're working in a dungeon, all around the way to rise.
Fantastic. We get the fake applause in. There would be applause if there were more people here. Listen, as we leave, for our listeners, if they want to follow you, if they want to buy your music, where do they go?
They can go to our website, houseofhamil.com, or we're very active on Facebook as well, so it would just be, I guess,
Hamil with 2 L's.
That's
yes,
right, yeah.
H-A-M-I-L-L, like Mark Hamill.
All
Nothing
right.
like him.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. And listen,
Thank you.
everybody, stay tuned because you're going to learn to play guitar just like that right after this commercial break. And we are back. Listen, I hope you're not just tuning in because you would have missed both the, well, first of all, you would have missed a live performance from House of Hamil. You know, it gets my Irish up. I don't know. That's a great thing about America, right? We could all claim whatever we like, all part of the tradition and culture, but I feel the music. It makes me feel like, hey, I'm going down to that dungeon and, all that stuff. So, the wonderful thing about music, House of Hamil. They're trying to define what their music is. I guess it's Irish rock, folk, something. But you got to check it out. And we also heard a clip from their CD, and so House of Hamil, check them out. And we heard from Gabriela Watson Razzo. She is an adjunct professor at Temple University, and she will be debuting her film, Ball of Flowers, this Sunday at the International House, 3701 Chestnut Street, 11 a.m. Check it out, 12:30. You'll be able to meet her, talk to her about her film. Well, listen, right now we're going to talk to Rob Swift, and he is going to talk about how you can learn the guitar quick. And he must be doing something right because he's got 200,000 subscribers on his YouTube and 1 million views a month, which I could tell you that is a lot. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Listen, Rob, you're a professional musician, producer, and now educator for is it 12 years that you've been teaching?
I started in high school, 30 years old now, and I've just been at it ever since. As soon as I got out of school, I started my company, Swift Lessons, and have been playing in bands and performing particularly around Philadelphia ever since.
Yeah, I've seen you perform. I've always enjoyed that, but today you're on kind of as a music teacher, and you were talking before the show about teaching people to learn.
It's my personal opinion that our cookie cutter style school systems that we have in the United States don't really teach people how to learn and how to build confidence and how to pick things up systematically. I notice just from the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've taught, people sit down and they just attack things without any kind of system and in an almost very stressful kind of way. And so my job is just to break things up into small digestible pieces for people to pick up and slowly build their confidence and find success on the guitar.
Now, before you go into a little bit about how you're teaching the guitar, you as a person, a musician, as a teacher, what is the magic that you're bringing to your craft here? Teaching people like me to play the guitar. What are you doing that's special?
Well, for starters, I was a really bad student.
Okay, I can see that.
I was, thank you. I was always a bad student. I didn't get good grades in school, and my mind wandered a lot, and so I had a lot of bad habits. But one thing that I really had was an absolute love and obsession for music, and I knew that I wanted to get it down. And so over many, many years, I taught myself how to learn.
Right.
Actually ended up going to college and taking what I had learned from the guitar and found out that I was actually a really good student. And so My approach is to basically just teach people how to learn, show them all the things that I picked up just from having all those mistakes all those years and how I fixed it.
Wow. And so now you can reach so many people online. And how do you do that?
Well, I started off teaching private lessons and classes here in Philadelphia. I still have some great students. And all the while I was teaching these private lessons, I realized that the thing that was missing in a lot of education was multimedia tools. And so my curriculum had an ebook,
Right.
a lot of different notebooks and quizzes and things like that, but also videos that broke down every technique that I wanted to teach to beginners. And the goal in mind was always just to get people from point A, the beginner, absolute beginner level, and then get them up to the intermediate level, to the point where they can start being creative and having fun and jamming with friends and, you know, having those memories that I've always cherished.
Now, you'll have to expound on this, but number one, people can go right now to some of your videos, and they're free.
Yes, there's about 450 free videos on my YouTube channel. I have stuff that's just for beginners, lots of different playlists. You can learn some very, very beginner-friendly songs. Just a few chords. Hey, just 4 chords, you can play thousands and thousands of tunes. That's all you need. And then it builds you up and gets you up to the intermediate and advanced levels in a lot of different styles.
Right, and then if you want to pay some money, you can pay $1 a month. That's like $12 a year, and you'll get more. What do you get for $1 a month?
The $1 a month club was kind of like a tipper club.
Right.
If you like the videos, you can throw me a tip, and then I take that and throw it back into the channel. And I've used that to get a lot of great musicians, a lot of local artists onto the show, and improve the equipment that I use to create the lessons. But in return, if you support the channel, you get quality resources for all my popular YouTube guitar lessons.
Wow. And then you could go up to like 5 or 10?
5 and 10. 5 gets you even more resources, PDFs, backing tracks. $10 makes you basically an executive producer of the channel. You get your name in the credits of every single new video that I put up.
Wow.
And then there's premium content, which includes some extra lessons, a lot of extra video lessons, and yet more PDFs, backing tracks, and all that good stuff. And the list of resources is growing every single day. I hit this every single day.
Yeah, it's a real win-win, because not only are you teaching people for free or $1 a month, you know, and people can give more if they like, but you're also bringing on other musicians, and they're getting exposure to your 1 million views a month.
Absolutely. So far, I've had the amazingly talented Chelsea Mitchell on there, the Levy Drivers, great Philadelphia band, and an actor named Skip James Robinson, who's in the $1 Million Quartet. He was just on showing us how to play little Johnny Cash. He performed as Johnny Cash in the $1 Million Quartet. So I'm bringing on actors, I'm bringing on singers, I'm bringing on just an incredible, diverse group of musicians. The kinds of people that live here in Philadelphia, we just have like an amazing music scene here.
Wow, fantastic. So you're sitting there with your guitar. Can you show us something and let the listeners hear just a little bit of what you would teach a beginner?
Well, a beginner should learn a bunch of 3-chord songs. I call them easy strummers.
Right.
And you know, that might just be 3 chords. Right there, that's 10,000 different songs.
Right. So, Gabriela, are you getting all this in? Because we're going to make you play the guitar.
Let me get my notes.
Okay, she's got her notes. All right, let's go.
So beginners can start off just learning 3 chords. In this particular case, I'm playing E major, A major, and a B7 chord, and then I'm using what musicians call as a capo to change the key up a whole step. That's musical lingo. Don't worry about any of that. That's another thing that I always recommend is just cut the fat. You know, if you learn something, no matter how small, walk away with that. That's one of the biggest keys to learning, is not allowing yourself to become over inundated and overwhelmed. So you learn 3 chords, you learn a couple songs, Sweet Home Chicago, learn those classic blues songs that use 3 chords. You can start off just strumming. Then you can upgrade that and start shuffling. Then you can upgrade that. It's all about layers. You learn something, then you allow it to evolve, a little bit by little bit.
That was easy. easy. If you were here, you'd be doing it right now. See, you're on the radio. You can't see this. It was so easy.
Yeah, so I can't take you from the intermediate level or the beginner level to the intermediate level over the waves, but I do have those 450 free lessons on YouTube that you can check out.
Okay, I'm getting the signal that we're coming down on time. We got a couple of minutes. So before we go any further, where can people check you out?
YouTube.com/Swift Lessons. That's the YouTube channel. I'm on Facebook and on Twitter as Swift Lessons. And then I'll be performing with my band at the Boot and Saddle on August 10th.
Where's the Boot and Saddle?
That's on Broad Street.
Below Washington Avenue.
Way down there, I think maybe near Tasker.
Or near Tasker. All right, check it out. Boot and Saddle. Very famous place. I know what it is when I see it. What date again?
That'll be August 10th.
August 10th. Fantastic. Now show us something for advanced folks.
Okay. So one of the more advanced techniques that I like to teach is a lot of finger picking.
How about some leads from some songs?
From some songs off the
No,
top
no,
of my head.
Well, hey, pull something out.
Okay,
See what
so
you
we
got.
We got a little Jimi Hendrix there. Yeah, I teach a lot of different styles, a lot of classic rock, a lot of folk. I love Simon and Garfunkel. You'll be able to find lessons on the Boxer, a bunch of other classic tunes that they do.
So basically, you know, learning can be fun. It can be easy to an extent, but as easy as possible and so convenient and affordable with Swift Guitar Lessons. All right. Well, listen, thanks for joining us, and everybody tune in next week, Tuesday, 2 to 3 on WWDB, and we'll be catching you again next week and every week thereafter. This is David O. You're in the know.